There we are. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Tonight I'm going to do something a little bit different than what I normally do. I've been focusing on the material design and XAML library recently, and tonight I've decided I wanted to give a pass at WinUI3. So for those people who are maybe a little unfamiliar with what WinUI3 is, just want to back up and kind of give a little bit of history and evolution of kind of how we got all the way this far. So way back in the olden days, there was WPF, right? Or I guess even before that, Windows Forms, which then WPF came along. The thought was, oh, this great new thing is going to obsolete WinForms. Well, that is just not true. WinForms is still very much alive and very popular, and I believe more popular than WPF. Um, but WPF came along and introduced this idea of XAML, this XML-based way of laying out your UI, which was great. It solved a lot of kind of the weird issues that WinForms had, where you either had to do it in the WYSIWYG designer or C# and you tweak stuff around, and things didn't always kind of lay out the way that you would want. One of my biggest pet peeves is in WinForms, things don't automatically fill their containing space. You actually have to do work to make that happen, whereas in WPF, that's kind of the default in most cases. And then after WPF, kind of around when Windows 8 was launching, there was this idea of what was called Metro apps, so using the Windows Runtime or WinRT, as a lot of people called it. The idea with these apps was that they were sandboxed, easily controllable, and unlike WPF, they couldn't just run rampant on a user system. Right? There was a limit to what they could do, but they got a lot of nice features, toast notifications, auto updates, all this kind of stuff that was backed by this new kind of Windows Store ecosystem that was coming in Windows 8. This is eventually what became the Universal Windows Platform, or UWP. And then moving beyond that, there was something called WinUI2. And this is where a lot of kind of the confusion between WinUI comes, because WinUI2 was more a control library and a nice update to that UWP infrastructure, because the WinRT library is expanded to give the apps more control, more access to different device sensors and that kind of thing, to be able to expand on them. They were put out to where they could run on Xbox at the time, Windows Phone, rip, uh, and it was great. It was wonderful. But then this WinUI 3 is coming along, and it's very different. Now it shares the name with WinUI 2 with the little number increase, but it's not just WinUI 2 vNext, right? WinUI 2 was sort of this bump with the UWP, and WinUI 3 sort of aims to break that and move forward. So let me jump forward and I'll show you what I mean. So there's this wonderful website, because apparently I wasn't the only one who was confused, with a bunch of major differences between WinUI 2 versus WinUI 3. And once again, this is WinUI 3 is poised as this latest evolution if you're going to be building desktop apps, right? This is where the new stuff should probably be built, right? Obviously, WPF isn't going away anytime soon, right? One of the biggest WPF apps out there is Visual Studio, right? There's no way we are seeing a major revamp of this anytime soon. It's still very much committed. Microsoft has brought both Windows Forms and WPF all the way forward to the latest .NET 5. There is no sunsetting, at least not on the immediate horizon, right? However, this does offer a lot of very nice features. And so given that the Material Design and XAML project doesn't necessarily have WPF in the name, at one point in time, there was kind of a side effort to kind of poke at, well, what would happen if we expanded this out into UWP, right? And there was a little bit that happened there, not a lot, right? A few buttons and that kind of thing. So I wanted to take another rev and look at WinUI 3 and then see what it would take to get some basic level of support, right? There's a lot of controls that are built into here that don't exist in WPF, right? There's some potential experiences and theming issues that could be interesting and fun to try out. So that is where we're going to go. The other thing I'm going to point out is there is sort of this weird, I don't want to say contention between Microsoft's Fluent Design and Material Design, right? Some people are very much on the side of the fence that no, this is a Windows app. Fluent Design is the Windows layout. It should look like a Windows app. Yada yada yada. Right? Um, I don't necessarily subscribe to that all the way. Right? I think apps should look great. The user should be able to be effective in them. And I think, in my opinion, you should use what makes sense. Right? So if Fluent Design is what makes sense for your app, great. If you've got maybe an Android app and you're looking to bring it over to the desktop and you're wanting users to feel a little more at home, great, right? Like use what makes sense, use what makes you happy. So we are going to run through this. Now, there's a bit on this getting started guide for Project Reunion. Now, I was hoping to actually have gone all the way through the whole file new project bit. My chat bubbles are cutting off. Sorry, one moment. That is very... I wonder why that is cropping off. I will have to play with that. My apologies if you are watching the recording of this and can't see the stream. Links will be in the description below. I will need to fix that because that is no bueno. There is a little bit of setup that needs to happen to be able to actually do some of this work. So I won't bore you through all of this. There's some installation bits that you need to do through the Visual Studio installer. There's an extension for Visual Studio, which I literally just finished installing about 5 minutes ago. So what could go wrong, right? Latest and greatest. Here we go. Make it fun. And then NuGet package system for NuGet.org. Download and install the Project Reunion extension. I believe I have done this as well. Excellent. We are going to fire let's just fire Visual Studio up and go. The other thing to note, and this is rather important as well, Visual Studio 2019 1610. So if you are not running preview versions of Visual Studio, you will need to if you want to actually get access to this. So just be aware that is a requirement, or at least a documented requirement. So let's start here. File new project, right? That seems like a very good place to start. Let's see. WinUI. Go find me something. Come on. I see the bar chugging. Search the things. This is not supposed to be a hard operation. Come on. There we go. Okay, so we got a blank app in UWP. And I think what we actually want, I'm most interested in doing the desktop-based ones, right? So there's basically the sandboxed variant, non-sandboxed variant. And I think I want to go with the non-sandbox. So blank app, packaged, WinUI3 and desktop. Oh, here, let's just save myself a little trouble. I do C#. Okay, we'll just drop the other one. So we've got blank app package, no package. We got a class library in desktop, and then we got some UWP variants, component and variant, and then other stuff. Let's go with packaged because getting a nice little MSIX at the end of the day sounds rather nice. Okay, so, and let's call this WinUI about Material Design and XAML. MDIX, not to be confused with MSIX. Sure. Create me a project. Oh, so what APIs do I want access to? I don't know if I care. Yeah, oldest seems fine, right? I'm most interested in looking at theming and stuff, so I don't. Yeah, I'm not interested in what Windows APIs. I can't imagine there's too much different in the way of theming goes. Why are you opening on that monitor? Back over here. Okay, so what do we got here? So we got what looks like an MSIX installer package. Great. We got what looks like an app. We got something with packages, which I assume it's going to restore here in a minute once this blue bar at the bottom finishes its whole doohickey. The background thing. Okay, so it restored all the packages. Great. I don't know. Do I need to start? Oh, interesting. So the MDIX package is still on the old MS build. Ugh. Wonder why that's the case. That's yucky. I don't like old SDK format. I like pretty SDK format. See? Pretty. We like pretty. Okay, so I'm trying to decide if this is the startup project for reasons or if I can just so before mucking with the MSIX, I just kind of want to start the app. Right? In theory, I should be able to file a new project in F5. Let's just keep it simple at first. Can I launch the app? Answer, no. Class not registered. So let's assume for a moment then that this needs to be the startup project. Is there some sort of installation-y thingy that needs to happen for this to work? Again, so I'm learning this along with everybody else. So just to be clear, I don't have any special knowledge here. Okay. So that makes sense. Click me. Okay. And it's clicked. And that's the sum total of it. It's weird. It almost looks like there's some weird artifacting of that when the mouse is over, like it's losing clear type or something. I don't know if that's big enough for people to see. If I put zoom it on, I bet you we can catch it. Right? So yeah, see if we look at that, see how the font is just, ooh, that's big. How the font is just gray and white there. Whereas if we wait and then look at it non-clicked mode, oh, I guess it's the same thing. I wonder if it just looks weird because it's enlarged. Interesting. Okay, so there's an app. That's a thing. Let's look at the XAML. So we got a stack panel. Kind of looks like what we would expect. It's got a button. It's got a click handler. Kind of looks like how we would expect. Let me make that bigger for people. Okay, so let's look at the code behind. We got a click handler. It sets the content, and it just works. Okay, this seems easy enough. Okay, so let's play with this button then, right? So theoretically, what I would like to do is I would like to see what it takes to do some sort of material design theming for this, right? So let's do this. Let's go out to GitHub, to everyone's favorite material design and XAML project, right? I'm sure it's everyone's favorite. Link in the chat for people. Man, that's gonna bother me. That no bueno. That no bueno. Sorry, 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can adjust that because that is going to really, really, really bother me. And I think I can toggle that real quick. Let's see. Come on, take me in. Load. Okay, so I want chat box. I want to come down here. I want to do something like that. Save. Let's turn off. I'm going to assume something about my custom CSS has broken it. And then we are going to go paste. Meh, it's not where I want it, but at least it's readable. We're going to go with it. We're going to go with it for now. I'm not just shift that guy up just a little bit. Whoop, that way my head isn't blocking it, and whoop, something about like that. Okay, at least now we're readable. Okay, so let's take a look at and just pick on one of the button themes, right? So we've got a button. Let's go make ourselves a button. I think the easiest one to probably port over is this style here. And there's probably going to be a decent amount of work to go along with this, but we're just going to do it all kind of right in line here. And maybe as part of this, we're going to have a little bit of a adventure in theming out and doing control templates. Okay, so let's do this. I assume I can add some sort of resourcey dictionary. New item, sure, sounds great. And do you have some sort of resource dictionary? I've done enough stuff in UWP to be dangerous, so that sounds great. So how about material design? What do we call this thing over here? Material design buttons, something. Material design theme button.xaml. That sounds like a great name. Let's copy that, because if this ends up working, we might as well keep it. All right, so we're going to do that. And then we're going to come over here, and we are just going to grab this style, because this is the most basic of all styles. Let's grab that, and we're just going to plop it in there and see what breaks, which is probably darn near everything. Okay, so what's up, Robert? And actually, no, not WPF today. You missed the opening. WinUI3. Still XAML, still playing around with it. So we're going to take a basic WinUI3 app, and I want to see how easy it is to theme one of these things off. Because if it's easy enough, especially with Project Reunion, we're gonna take a crack at this. Worst case scenario, we end up doing a material design port for WinUI3. I would not be opposed to that idea. But we are going to see. So first thing right out the gate, X type was not found. So I'm going to go out on a limb here. WinUI3 just net core version of UIs or desktop apps? That is a very good question. And the answer is both. So one of the cool things that it has right now is there's sort of two. There's kind of two top level ways that you can do projects in WinUI3. You can do the UWP approach, right? So people coming from UWP land have a nice, easy migration path, right? But we also have this WinUI3 in desktop, which is pretty cool. So I'm not 100% confident on this. One, they decoupled WinUI3, they decoupled it from the OS and the Windows SDK framework, so that the UI layer isn't tightly coupled. Because even in like WPF, it's tightly coupled to DirectX, right? You can't get away from it. This is Microsoft's evolution to try and address that and get things a little more modular, right? It is still UWP flavored XAML though, so that's going to be a little different. So, but we're gonna see. I figure I want to see how hard it is to do something like a button, and if a button's easy, then we keep going. But right out the gate, X type is not there. So let's, So the other thing that I had experienced with this before is I had a ooh la la. What do we have here? Is I ran into a lot of problems around just being able to see what was going on and debugging, which did that. How does this fit into the whole set of frameworks like Maui, Blazor Desktop, and Net 6? Oh, you have asked a wonderful question. And I don't know if I necessarily know all of the answers, but I know enough to give a reasonable answer. So Net 6, they are attempting to unify all of the .NETs, so that there is no more separation of, you've got one .NET that you use to write desktop, one that you use to write web, one that you use for mobile, all that. There's just Net 6, right? Everyone comes together, one big happy family. Obviously, some APIs don't work on certain platforms, right? Just like if you try to access the compass on a device that doesn't have a compass, well, that ain't going to work, right? So it does mean that you may end up having to do some runtime checks. There's some target framework stuff to play with and all that jazz. But how this fits into Maui is one of the targets that Maui is going to have, I believe. Let me see if I can find this. Maui C#. If I type in anything, the problem with searching for Maui is you end up with a lot of things that have no relationship whatsoever to this. I believe so. I'm just trying to confirm what I think was said. I believe what I heard is that WinUI3 is one of the targets, but I want to confirm that because I don't know if that's true or not. Because so Maui is kind of like Xamarin vNext, but it's Xamarin vNext with a bunch of breaking changes, right? So a whole bunch of like the Xamarin namespaces got changed, and things are being brought under like system or Microsoft namespaces. So if you're writing a Xamarin Forms app today, just know that there's probably some find and replace namespace action for you. I do not see the answer that I'm looking for, so I'm going to go with maybe Maui. Xamarin Forms does desktop. Yeah, because I know, because they said Windows, and I'm trying to remember what Windows means. Yeah, there it is. So in .NET Maui, WinUI3 Microsoft will provide the head for. There is still a WPF one that's community maintained, but that was the same in Xamarin Forms as well, right? There's technically a WPF head. I really don't think I would necessarily build apps that way. The WPF head for Xamarin Forms always felt a little constrained because you're doing kind of a least common denominator thing. I mean, you can certainly do platform specific stuff, but it felt weird and hard. But yeah, so that is the relationship there. So if you are wanting to do WinUI3 and you want it to be cross-plat, you can do Maui, and Maui will have a WinUI, or will generate a WinUI3 host that you can use. So if you are happy with your Xamarin Forms stuff and just want Xamarin Forms v Awesome next, that would be better. Because you'll note one of the big things that they've changed is dumping it into kind of this single project-y type architecture, right? Where, I'm targeting each of these other thingies, and maybe I've got some platform-specific code, but for the most part, I just write my stuff once. Because most of the time in Xamarin Form, that's kind of what you wanted. Blazor, I don't think necessarily fits in yet. I don't know. I don't think I've heard anything in regards to Blazor. So for people unfamiliar, Blazor is Microsoft's awesome new way of, I hate to call it Silverlight vNext, but it's better. Mostly because it doesn't depend on weird browser stuff. It just uses WebAssembly. But it lets you build out website stuff in a very XAML C# friendly way, so that people who are used to building like WPF apps, like me, who don't really know JavaScript, don't really want to know JavaScript, can still build web stuff. And it's pretty cool. It's worth noting Blazor's, there's kind of two halves to it. You've got server and client. Server I know went out. I believe client is GA. Might still be beta. Don't quite know. So that's a very long answer to what was a short question. So this is one of the ways, and I kind of mentioned this at the beginning too. WinUI3 feels like Microsoft's next evolution of, hey guys, if you're building a new desktop app, this is what you should probably look at. Now, there's a lot of variables to consider though, right? Like, do you have existing code or whatnot that you need to maintain? Is WPF a better system for what you want? Do you want the MSIX package in kind of easy mode, which is what this appears to be. There's a stream I did a while back, and I need to revisit it because I'm told the MSIX packaging got better, but oh man, we struggled with getting a WPF app packaged in MSIX. I struggled a lot. There's since been several blog posts and documentation pages written, so again, I should revisit it. But this is sort of the next one. Now, should you go to this? Kind of depends on what you're building. Maybe. But if WPF is working, there's no real reason to switch off of WPF if that's what's getting the job done. So if we target Maui, we can just write it, and it can target both desktop and mobile. And then if we have hardware-specific code, we write the classes for the platform. Correct. Yes. And so with Maui, there's actually a bunch of different ways, because whenever you have these write once solutions, the key question is always, well, how do I do platformy specific things, right? Because without fail, the write once solutions never, there's always something you need to do specific on each platform, right? Doesn't matter. I've never written a cross-platform app where I didn't have to do some platformy specific stuff. And so with Maui, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. That screenshot that I had up a second ago where it showed the individual platform classes is one. There's runtime checks you can do. There's pound if check methodologies you can do. And they've also got like on platform flags for inside of XAML to make that friendly as well, where it's like, hey, I want my margin to be 30 on iOS and 10 on Windows, right? So there's a nice little XAML-y way of doing that as well. And actually in Maui, you don't even need to use XAML if you don't want to. They decoupled it from XAML and kind of an MVVM pattern because they wanted to support something called MVU. So Model View Update, which was very much popularized by Clancy's Comet repo. So if anybody's come across that, the MVU pattern that you see in Maui is pretty much Comet brought forward. So that's pretty cool. But yes, you can have hardware or platform specific code in Maui and just do runtime checks, or if it's compile time known, there are ways to set it up so that this bit of code only gets compiled into my iOS app, for example. Okay, so we need a couple things here for this to work. I need a primary hue brush, primary hue mid brush, and a primary hue foreground brush. So let's just do this. So solid color brush. I have to say, this is so far very WPF-y to me. So that's kind of nice. The fact that I had to drop an X type is about the only thing. So we're going to go with color purple for now. I'll go and drop this in at a later point, and maybe we'll do white on top of it. I'll go and swap these out later. So let's see. So what is this guy doing? Dynamic resource was not found. So is WinUI more of a closer comparison to WPF than Maui's to WPF? WinUI3 for desktop is. Yes. Yeah. Maui, I would say, is for people who want the write once, share code across multiple platforms, right? But if you're going to write a Windows app and only have it run on Windows, I don't think I would reach for Maui. I think I reach for Maui when I either want to do mobile or cross-platform. And if a desktop app is what I'm writing, I'm not reaching for that. I'm going for either WinUI or WPF. Currently WPF because that's my bread and butter, but we're going to see if we can add WinUI to that list. So dynamic resource doesn't exist. So that's interesting. Obviously static resource exists. So we're just gonna find. So obviously that will be something that I need to figure out the appropriate replacement. I vaguely remember there being something like a theme resource or similar. But for now, in the interest of just seeing this work, we're gonna go with. We'll just do everything as static resource and be done with it. Okay, so this guy here, I think what we're going to do is we're just going to whack. I don't want to bring over all of the attached properties. Ripple assist feedback. I'm going to leave this because we're going to end up having to bring the ripple assist in as well. The shadow I think I'm going to take out so I don't have to bring that in. And all of the button and progress assist stuff. I think we're just going we're just going to take all that out so I don't have to deal with it. Okay, so target type appears to just want the string, not the X type. And it seems happy with that, so that's cool. Adorner decorator is not found. I'm not overly surprised. That's fairly WPF specific. So let's look at what we're doing here. So I think what we do is we just try dropping this because I don't think the adorner layer is something that actually matters. Control template triggers. Oh, are there no triggers in my control template? Well, that's a fairly limited set. Okay. So we're gonna have to find a replacement for all of those too. Okay, so that's not a thing. Let's see. So what do we got next on the agenda? We've got a button assisty thing, so we're just gonna take that out. Is it? It's probably not gonna be hip to that. We're just gonna delete it. Let's see. Effect. This was all around shadowing. Yeah, so we're just gonna, effect probably doesn't exist. Yeah, I'm not overly surprised to find that effect isn't a thing in here. Effects in WPF are one of those things that can just tank performance really quickly. So it doesn't really surprise me to not see that there. Okay, so this is all progress assist stuff here. So we're gonna make this easy and just whack it. Look at that. See that? And actually, I think the entire premise of the progress bar, we're just not going to implement right now. That's for a later effort. Okay, so we do need to bring over the ripple. Multi-binding wasn't found. Really? There's no multi... Really? Oh, I guess it probably isn't going to know that. Let's go up here. Do you not have... You do have binding, but you don't have multi-binding? Microsoft UI XAML.data. Sorry, I just want to go look at this. Microsoft.ui.xaml.data binding. Well, look at that. There's a binding base, but there is no multi-binding. Well then, that's exciting. That's okay. So we got some limitations. Not sure how we're gonna work around that one. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's go and bring in the ripple control, I guess. So let's add existing item. And let's just, whoop, I'm gonna bounce out. Uh-oh. Ah, shoot. I put this on the wrong hard drive. Well, that's disappointing. We'll be moving that later. My little M2 does not have enough space. Okay, but we need to go find material design. Sorry, I am doing this on a secondary screen for the moment because I've got a bunch of other stuff nearby that I'm not supposed to share. Okay. There we go. So let's come in here. So material design WPF, and let's go down and grab ourselves the ripple control. Grab that guy. And this guy, we are going to just do some auto coding. So change the namespace. Great. We're going to clean all you up. And we got all kinds of stuff. So template visual state. That exists. Great. Content control. Are you still a thing? What is ABI? Huh. Wonder what's bringing that in. Okay, that's still a thing. Let's see. Is event manager still a thing? I'm going to go with probably not. Yeah, not overly surprised. So we will probably need to figure out the proper way to handle events. Let's see. Mouse button event handler. We will need to figure out how to do that. kind of interested in how does this work. There's a using for that. Let's see, is find name not a thing? Key time, do you have, oh, there's animation namespace, so bring that forward. How about a mouse? I'm kind of going to be surprised. Yeah, not overly surprised that mouse doesn't exist. Oh, and we don't have, well, how bad could it be? Let's turn on nullable reference types while we're at it, because I don't want to think too hard, but I just about guaranteed that's going to be interesting. So we turned off the ripple assist. All right, so we're going to just do that maneuver. That is not quite right. That's what we want. That's what we want. And then dependency property. So I don't even know how to do read-only dependency properties. Are those a thing? There's register attached and register. Interesting. Okay, so we'll have to figure out read-only dependency properties too. Apply template. Oh, this is protected now. Okay, that's fine. I'm cool with that. Let's see, ripple assist. I'm just gonna get that out of there. Actually, you know what? It might be easier to just bring it in. Yeah, we've already got enough stuff that we're gonna be figuring out. And I think I want to know how hard it is to do attached property stuff. Which is why I'm starting with button, because it is a simple control. And if I can't do a simple control, well, I got no hope for the rest of the library. Okay. So let's go and grab that guy too. Well, the good news, the coffee, or otherwise called liquid dirt, is now gone. And we can move on to, that doesn't look like Mountain Dew can. Don't worry. We got backup. Mountain Dew's coming. Mountain Dew's a coming. Okay, so let's just clean these guys up, because it looks like these ones are probably as simple as declare there. I assume these are just property metadatas. Yeah, and then this guy here is probably just that simple. So this guy had an inherit. I don't know if this guy is going to have, don't know if there's going to be an equivalent here. There might not be. There might not be. So what we are going to do is we're just going to whack that. It's the problem is we've got code that relies on the inheritance bit of that. So that'll be something that would need to change. So let's do this. Let's just find, hey, paste. Let me zoom this. Oh, that is huge, or tiny. Let's see, font sizer, increase editor font size, control. Sorry, what was that again? Font sizer, control plus num. See, the problem with that is it assumes that I have that key on my keyboard, and I don't. My new clacky keyboard doesn't have a number pad. It is a stubby one. Okay, so we're gonna just drop that guy, and then yeah, because we've got all this stuff that assumes that you can set these attached properties on the parent controls, and it's fine if they don't inherit. It's actually probably better if we address those, and that might be one of those things that I address actually in the WPF XAML too. is have it not necessarily inherit, but get passed down appropriately, right? There's a few places where that gets weird, where you pass it like 5 levels down, specifically around like the data grid ones. Those get weird. But it does save a bit of performance if it doesn't have to do inheritance trees. Okay, so there's that. That handles that. That handles that. I'm not really concerned with that. I am interested in mouse button event handler. So I think what we do though is we go, I think we just, so one, we wanted preview so what are the events that would correspond to mousy stuff? Drag, holding. I want, let's see, what do I care about? Mouse move, mouse up. I want those things. Pointer. Okay. So pointer moved is one thing I care about. So grab that. All right. So that's a thing I care about. Yeah, sure, fine. And then I want, so it's not mouse, it's pointer. Okay. And then I want released. That sounds like another thing I want. Okay. Both of these things have the same signature. That's great. That's great. You become, these args become one of these thingamabobbers. Let's just get rid of that. That'd be dumb. And then both of these get pointed to, and then just for sanity, we'll rename this to pointer. All right, poof. Bippity boppity, booyah. Okay, so now that handles that. Ripple assist is centered. Oh, did we not? We didn't move the ripple assist class, did we? Nope. Move on over. Okay, so that'll fix those issues. We still don't know the read-only stuff. This seems to think I can override something. What is your problem? Nullable annotation context. Does nullable not work? Oh, that's going to be dumb if nullable doesn't work here. Nullable true. It's on. I'm going to ignore you for the moment. This one seems to think it can override. I don't know if that's a legit thing to assume. I actually should have brought my water bottle with me. Did not do that. That would have been smarter. Let's see. Points probably. Let's see. I'm going to assume Windows Foundation. I kind of want to know what this abi.windows is. I'm not familiar with that namespace. So that's a thing. Let's see. I wonder if there's like a pointer. POI. Can I do like a pointer from ABI? So apparently I need to figure out what ABI is, because that's clearly a thing. How about this? No. Oh, this isn't a static method. Oh, this is a mouse move event handler. Oh, so this guy should really be this one. And this should really be renamed to pointer, right? And then you become one of these. Okay, so that gives me that. And then I wonder, can you give me the... So this is, so what are we after? I want the position of the pointer relative to my ripple, right? That's all I'm after. So that's probably as simple as, I think I just saw like a get current point relative to. That sounds like exactly what I want. I want to get the point relative to ripple, right? Boom. See, we can find our way through these APIs. Poof, problem solved. I'm sorry, what? This is the problem with var now. Use explicit type. Input experimental. Oh boy. Oh boy, that's exciting. Okay, so what is on this relative position thingy? Right. So we just want dot position. Right? And then this becomes point. There we go. That's all I care about. I don't care about the other stuff. I just want numbers. X and Y coordinates are fine. Thank you. So we may need to come back to left mouse button down. Apparently this did not update to match. Boom. Be there, be happy. Okay, so now we want to peruse our template looking for particular thingy-mabobbers. So under Ripple, template is a thing. There's got to be some sort of find me the thingy. How do I get a template member? Is there some sort of like how about Ripple find name? So we just drop template and we just do that. Yeah, and then we drop this. That seems easier. It seems like a much more intuitive API. Okay, assuming it works the same way. I like it. This should probably be pattern matched, but meh. That's for after it's working. Okay, so that handles that. That handles that. Let's just clean these up. Boom. Those ones get cleaned up. That gets cleaned up. Now, what are we doing here? We've got when the left mouse button gets pressed, we want to do stuff. So I think for this, what we're going to do is we're just going to register it up here. Pointer pressed. When I press action within the element. That sounds kind of like what I want. Boom. Oh, that's probably going to be a problem. Fine, we'll keep the name. Let's go down here, and we're just going to drop that in, and then we don't need this base thingy call anymore. I think what we saw before is this is e dot get current point relative to this dot position. There is a no reference possibility here that I'm almost assured to find, but you know what? Deal with that later. No references. Okay, so inner content. Transform to ancestor. So what is this doing? This is trying to... So this finds the inner content, takes the takes the origin point from that content, and transforms it. This should just be getting the point relative to the parent. So, transform to visual appears to be what we want instead. Let's see, transform to visual gives me a general transform, and then a general transform should probably be able to, oh, transform point. Boy, that sounds awful lot like what I want. Boom. And then let's use explicit type. Okay, so that was easy. Okay, so now we just have this issue. And I think what we're going to do is drop the concept of needing a read-only. Drop the concept of that and just go with straight up dependency property. Right? And we are going to so we are going to drop that. This guy here, ripple size property, we're going to drop the word key. Drop that. Drop the word key off of that. Drop the word key off of that. And we're just going to register these up as regular dependency properties. And that should get us with this compiling. Okay, so that's a thing. And we are now WPF is an undeclared prefix. If we're down to one error, I'm pretty happy. Sorry, what line was that? Line 40. Oh, so we want, this is going to become, local, because we brought this guy in here. Okay, so content string format. I think we're just going to drop that because that isn't a thing. Focusable apparently isn't a thing. Snap to device pixels isn't a thing. That's actually really happy. Okay, so we got all of that in. Got all of that. Okay, so next up, let's come over to here. I would like to take this button, style, static resource, boom. I would like to do that, right? Content, click me. I prefer that. All right, let's get this guy set up. Yeah, and I wouldn't expect you to be able to find it. So in WPF land, we have to include the resource. Wait. No, it doesn't just pick it up, does it? Is it like smart about this? That would be interesting. True for knowable. Oh, that's why it was still squawking, because true isn't a real thing. Enable. Yeah, and let's see. Focus visual style doesn't exist on button base. Okay, not surprised. That one we drop. Let's see. What else we got? Unknown member, ripple assist feedback. I thought we just brought in. Oh, this is going to be local, right? Cursor doesn't exist. Not surprised. Text block font size. So I assume it's just going to be this. All right, so let's do that. Let's do that. Let's see what happens there. Really nice that this is actually blowing up at compile time, not runtime. That's actually fairly comforting. I mean, some of these things would also blow up in WPF at compile time as well. XAML parsing failed. That's exciting. Can you be any more specific? Apparently not. Apparently not. This is where I got annoyed with it previously. So it's in the generated code, line 39. I have a sinking suspicion if I go looking at this. Yeah, so about that. Okay. So how does one? I think this is the part where we start the googling with Bing. So WinUI3 include resource dictionary, right? So we want to start there. So here's this guy. Okay, so theme resource is likely our replacement for dynamic resource that we want to use. That's fine. That is fine. Oh, I just had a crazy idea. It would be really cool to write a source generator to go between WPF markup and WinUI markup. That will be a stream for a different day. That would be a stream for a different day and totally awesome. Okay. I just wonder how much beating it's gonna take. Right? But I wonder if it would be easier or harder to maintain a set of transformation rules than it would be to just maintain two separate bits of code. So theme resource, we're gonna put you to the side and come back over here. Resource dictionary, blah blah blah. Page. Application resources. Does Windows just not have resources? Is that the deal? Does Windows just not have resources? This looks to be... This is... Okay, so the only thing I noticed is they only show it at the application and the page level. They don't show it at a window level. So perhaps Windows doesn't have it. Okay, well that's fine. We can come over here. Other merge dictionaries here. Okay, so how about resource dictionary, source, blue, IntelliSense, Visual Studio, material, design, theme, button.xaml. Right, something like that. Load. Well, worst case scenario, we get the same error that we got last time. Cannot be that bad. Oh, buddy. I don't know why previously it had a white border and now it doesn't. And more importantly, it doesn't do anything when I click on it. So, it's a colossal failure, but it runs. So note to self, if you have a static resource that cannot be resolved, you just get a useless exception. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Okay, but, this gives me a small amount of hope that we can theme this sucker out. Okay, so we got a button. Now there's a couple obvious things that didn't look right. So let's launch this guy one more time. I wonder how the edit and continue works. Because I am noticing this thing is being really hip and respecting my Windows theming, which is pretty cool. Not gonna lie. So, okay, so for starters, there's a couple things going on, right? We've got this guy here. He's got this white border. Oh, I wonder, does the live visual tree work on this thing? Because I know Snoop isn't going to. Live visual tree. Hey, look at that. Look at that. That's exactly what I want. Because you'll note, the thing had a white border a minute ago. White border's gone. That bothers me a great deal. Right? Why was the border there a minute ago? And why is my streaming suffering because Slack has decided it wants to do something. Slack is going to shut down now. We'll see if we can give it. I don't know why Slack decided it needed the GPU. Hands off, Slack. You do not get to run my computer. Okay, so we do have this. Okay, we need to change something. Okay, first of all, this is annoying me. Okay, so the structure of this is a little weird. Okay, get that. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna make this thing counter. Right, so we're just gonna we're gonna go this route. Boom. All right, so we will. Oh, the zero initialization is stupid, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so I don't know why the white border starts there, nor do I know why it goes away. But we can see that as I click, that goes up. Okay, so few things I'm noticing right away, right? So first of all, the look of these buttons is supposed to be curved, right? There's supposed to be some amount of that, and I'm trying to figure out. I mean, I see why it's not curving right now because, quite frankly, there is nothing to cause that. And actually, this grid is now. We'll leave the grid for now because if we put the progress button back in, that might be needed. We dropped the default corner radius, didn't we? We did. Here, I'm going to just open material design so I can compare and contrast, because I think what I'm going to do is just bring in whatever the default corner radius is. I know we weren't going to bring in all of the assist classes, but let's bring in, Visual Studio, you need to deal with increased font sizes. This is not okay. I'm going to save that for later and submit feedback because this little dialogue has been annoying me. And I refuse to give feedback while the thing is that big. We will provide feedback later. So let's start with themes and button again. And close that. Okay, so this guy here had a corner radius that came in from the button assist corner radius. And we dropped that, but what is the default? Default corner radius is 2 on everything. Okay, so we're just going to do this because I assume this guy still has a corner radius or similar, right? Yeah, great. So we're just going to set it to 2, right? We'll start to get that rounded look. And I'm kind of wondering if that white border is some sort of like focused assist. I know it's not. I know that's not what it's called, but I don't know what to call it. Because I'm wondering if it goes away, right? So see, it's right there. I'm wondering if it goes away if I tab. See, it does. So it's something to indicate the focus, the keyboard focus, right? And so if I spacebar it, it counts. You'll note, if we zoom in, that did give us rounded corners. Okay, so that got us to there. I am going to let's see. Let's just go. Wait, you don't have a background? That not cool. White. So it does update on the fly. That's kind of nice. Okay, so we'll do this. If you're gonna do XAML live update for me, let's have fun. All right, so that goes like that. That goes like that. That goes like that. It's not hip to that. Okay, fine. But that should work to give me a white background on my windows. Or my window, singular. Right? And then this guy comes out. There's that obnoxious border around it. I think, though, that is probably less good than not doing that, simply because the selection bit is clearly designed based on the Windows theme. I don't really want to change my Windows theme right now. Okay, so that gives me that. Actually, you know what we should do? We should do background, something like a dark gray, right? No. Oh, that's right. Dark gray is actually lighter than gray, if I remember. Here, let's just do this. 0x, I don't know, 222222. All right, give me there. Because dark theme is rarely black. It's usually, you know, dark. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so that gets me closer. And then just to be clear, the target that we're shooting for, just open this guy up, and we'll see what we can. These guys need to go to theme stuff. Progress we don't care about. The ripple I would like to figure out. So specifically what this is here, right? So if we go buttons, right? We are basically attempting to build out this button here, right? So when I click it, I expect that to happen, right? And so right now I have this, and I'm not getting any ripple feedback. So let's jump to our Ripley control and confirm that we are getting, in fact, what we think we are. So this would be like pointer pressed. So if we come here, and that is the wrong app. Let's try again. That's a better app. If I click, okay, is centered? No. Get current position. 4316, ripple X, ripple Y. Go to state, templated state normal, templates. Oh, because I don't have a template for a ripple added in yet. Okay. Let's go and add that. So that kind of makes sense. The ripple would draw nothing and do nothing because it has been given nothing to work with. So new item. Let's call this material design theme ripple. And then let's go and grab the code. I think it's hiding under generic. Yeah, there it is. So I just want this whole style. Come here. And we will put you here. And then before I forget to do it, I'm going to go and add you here. It is actually kind of convenient if all of your resource dictionaries just get added at this level. Because that resource tree walking, I know, is one of the other things that can really bite you in WPF if it gets too deep. But, okay, so we got a lot of stuff going on. Okay, so first thing we know is that we drop X type and we just type the name in, right? But this is probably supposed to be local : ripple, I imagine, right? If I F12 on that, it takes me there. Excellent. Okay, so once again, there is no X type. There's just the type. So that's fine. That's fine. We can work with this. Let's see. So that's all good there. That's all good there. So visual state stuff, yada yada yada. We'll leave it as is. Okay, so we got a canvas. And we got style triggers. Ripple on top. Do styles not have triggers? Dear heavens, what happened to all my triggers? There are no triggers. Okay, what the heck has triggers on it? Do elements have triggers? Something has to have a trigger, right? They didn't just... Okay, so there are triggers on elements. Okay, so that's okay then, right? We can work around this. That's actually more convenient because the triggers that exist on WPF elements are only for event triggers, which are arguably one of the hardest use case triggers to come up with. Okay, so this guy is squawking about his panel Z index. Why? This is dumb because the Z index is already set to 1 because we're inside of a grid. Yeah, so that's just not. Snap device to pixels doesn't matter. Recognize access keys doesn't matter. Content string format doesn't exist apparently, so we're just going to whack it because we aren't even using it in this use case anyway. Okay, so there's all of that. Now I think I'm curious because this one here was an explicit style with an X key. This is an implicit style. I wonder if it's just going to pick it up. Let's see. In WPF land, that would be enough. I don't know. So hold on, we got a couple more that we missed. So clip to bounds doesn't exist. Okay, that's fine. Just get rid of that. Z index on canvas. Oh, that's why it was setting its Z index explicitly, because the canvas was moving itself up and down in the Z order. Ah. It was explicitly setting it to 1 because the canvas would bounce between 0 and 2. Got it. Makes sense. Makes sense. I suspect this may be something that we end up having, like, it's probably kind of a weird use case. Okay, so we are going to tab off of there. And there's that. So let's continue. I don't see no ripply effect. So something isn't working, and I don't know what. So let's see. What is supposed to happen here? So it's supposed to go to state mouse pressed, right? So if we come over here, right, and again, I'm making sweeping assumptions that this works the way I think it does, right? So it goes to state normal, right, which clears some stuff out, and it goes there immediately because this Boolean is all about whether you use transitional states or not, right? This one says go to state pressed, go ahead and use transitions. And then this guy here. So I just want to first confirm that A, we're getting there, right? Okay, perfect. So it's hitting those states. Those transitional states, right? We've got these guys here, should exist over in our template. I'm just wondering if it's not picking this up. How would I know? Oh, I know. We check our live visual tree and we can confirm that it's got all of the stuff in it. Perfect, right? So it did pick up this style because I can see the template elements, right? I can see underneath my ripple, it grabbed the grid, right? And underneath the grid, it grabbed the canvas. And underneath that, it grabbed, there's the ellipse, which is this guy right here, right? The name click ellipse, right there. And then there's the content presenter. Perfect. Okay. So it did pick up my style, my style does have some visual states. On mouse pressed, what does it do? So it transforms the scale X and scale Y of the scale transform. So where is scale transform defined? That is here. I don't know why we have all of these others in here. Just going to take those out. So it should cause this thing to go. This guy's background color is what? Fill template binding feedback. So this guy is looking for the feedback property. So let's just check here. Show properties, right? And I want to look at feedback. Let's see. Feedback. Hello. Hello. Where is my feedback property? Oh, I'm sorry. The fill property is apparently 0. Now, do I see that change as I press? No. So this guy here clearly didn't get anything. So this is coming from the template binding, which would be the feedback property on the thing that's being templated. So in this case, the ripple. So if we go up to the ripple, I am now looking for feedback. Feedback is apparently set to 0, which is just awesome. I'm not entirely sure how that's possible, given that I'm pretty sure feedback is a brush, right? It is. So there's that. So I'm guessing 0 rendered here must be garbage. So let's just set this to red. Okay, so now if I click here, okay, so now we're getting a ripple. Okay, so that's nice, and it is in fact going based upon my cursor's pointer. Okay, so couple issues. One, it's not being clipped. So clipping's a thing that we need to turn on, and I know we deleted a bunch of clipping WPF properties, so we need to find the equivalent there. 2, I thought, if I'm not mistaken, the ripple is expected to disappear after it reaches its max size. The other thing is it's going kind of slow compared to the WPF one. The WPF one seems to go a lot quicker. Yeah, so there's something to be said there. So what is expected to happen? So how does it get from pressed to not pressed? Okay, so there's something going on there that is definitely different, and I don't know what it is. And I have to believe it is down based around this, because if I just do, yeah, so that's part of the issue there. Okay, so something's going on with that ripple. So let's figure out the clipping first, right? So we want to get this guy here, and I want to remember what I took off of here that was clipping it. So this, if we come down here in WPF land, one of these guys was clipping this ripple control. Width, height. Let's see. Was it the ripple itself that was clipping? Clip to bounds. Yes. So ripple was clipping to bounds. So let's go up here, and I want to look at what exists on this thing for the purposes of clipping. So this dot, and let's just do clip. Oh, interesting. So it just has a straight up clip property. Okay, so let's go here. So A, we know that the feedback property isn't being set the way what we need. Let's look at the clip property now too, because we know you exist. Do you not show? So clip is not set. Isn't this settable? Isn't that what we just saw? Get set, yeah. What's a rectangular geometry look like? I mean, I know what a rectangle looks like, but what does a rectangle geometry look like? That's great. That tells me almost nothing. You have, so a rectangle. So how about if I just do this, right? Rectangle geometry, rect gets new rect, and it's going to be, I believe this is the same. All right, so x is 0, y is 0, width is actual width, actual height. All right, and I think both of these are going to be, it may not be necessary to set this here. Let's do it in on size changed. It's probably better. Respect clipping from attached property. Okay, and then let's deal with the feedback property that wasn't being set. So up here, did we just delete it? That would have been bad. Let's go and look at the button template from WPF then again. Let's see, Ripple, where does your feedback get set? Where does your feedback get set? Where is Ripple feedback? Oh, is it set like as an attached property and it propagates down? That would be yucky. Ripple feedback. Yeah, look at that. So it is set. That's set on a different style. Find next. Flat button, floating, floating, flat. Really? So it's not set? Wait, what? That can't, no, it's set somewhere. Where is it set? Material design raise button. Ripple assist feedback. White. Yeah, so that's probably what we dropped, right? Oh, but this isn't so this is the problem, right? This was an attached property that was propagating down. It's no longer propagating, right? So this is a good example. So how would we fix this? And we could fix this the exact same way in WP. Here, I'm just going to kill execution for the moment. We could fix this the same way in WPF land too, of not making this propagate, right, and explicitly pass it, right? So right before we were just setting it up on the root control, and that attached property would go down to all of its children. And now what we're saying is, well, let's not do that, right? Let's be a little more explicit. And I wonder if I can get away with doing this. So in WPF land, you couldn't get away with this. But I'm going to try it here because I want to know if they fixed it or made it work, I guess is the better way. Before, you couldn't do a template in WPF land. You cannot do a template binding to an attached property. You have to do a relative binding all the way into it. And I'm curious if this will work. What is this thing that it's squawking about? Oh. Fix that so it stops yelling. template bindings work. So aside from the fact that that is really slow. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is good. Okay. I like this. See? This is progress. Progress. Okay, so given that, if that will propagate out like that, the next question then is, because you can see how once the ripple spreads, it doesn't actually go away, right? And in WPF land, once it reaches the end, it goes away. So we've got two things, I guess, next on the docket, right? I want to fix the speed of that transition because it's got to be like a default is different in WinUI versus WPF, right? So the rate of that change is much too small. And then the other bit that I'm more concerned with is how does it go away in WPF land, right? So let's look at this, the visual state. So this guy here would do what? So scale would go back to 0. Mouse out would go back to 0. So the question is, are we going back to the normal state? What is the trigger for that? So so we can kind of just hunt this state transition, right? And just say what sends us to the normal state. So pointer released would put us back into the normal state. The click puts us back into the normal state, but only temporarily, and on apply template. So I'm going to go with the released is probably not doing what we expect. That's my working theory. So I want to catch it here, and let's see. Yeah, so down, up, and we're not hitting the breakpoint. So pointer released. Oh, interesting. Note at the end of a press action. Note that the end of a press action is not guaranteed to fire a pointer released event. Other events may fire instead. See remarks. Well, I kind of would like to read that whole block of text, please. That is not useful whatsoever. Let's see here. Can I do just that one? Ooh. So that worked remarkably better than I expected. F1 for anybody wanting that keystroke. Normally, I've found that it doesn't do what I want, but in this case, it did exactly what I wanted. So on pointer released. So see remarks. Touch mouse and pen stylus, receive, process, and manage pointer, blah, blah, blah. For more events, see handle pointer input. This looks like a page that might be important, right? Other events instead of pointer release may fire at the end of an action. Pointer canceled, pointer capture lost. Don't rely on pointer pressed and pointer released events always occurring in pairs. Great, that's exactly what we were doing. To function properly, your app must listen for and handle all events that represent likely conditions or likely conclusions to the press actions. Okay, so what I would really like to know then, what are the conclusions? Because I do not appear to be getting those the way that we expect. Let's see. Oh, this is much better. Pointer moved, pointer pressed. Indicates a press action such as the touch down, pen down, or touchpad down within the bounding area of an element. Capture pointer must be called from the handler of this event. Ah, so maybe that's the thingy that we are not doing. And we should probably... Oh, perfect. So I would like to see that one. right? Let's see, TB. So we have to try and capture the sucker. That's fine. And then how do we then get released? Is that the deal? Release pointer capture. So we need to do, I think we need both of those, right? So released. Pointer moved. I'm curious where the canceled by the platform. So we probably need to handle pointer canceled, pointer capture lost, and pointer released. And we need to capture the pointer inside of our thingy. Okay, so we can do this. So real quick, this guy here is let's rename this end pointer event. Sure, fine, whatever. We're gonna call it that. So I think what we do is we do something like purple of one specified pointer. So we are going to do, all right, so we are going to give it its pointer and release it. Because I assume this is what's setting the new time, right? Because the time, so this one here, it's worth noting. You can see how slow that is while I hold the mouse button down and how it speeds up at the end. So that I think that's, yeah, so that's definitely the released. So in the down, or the pressed, I guess, right? We want this guy to come in here, and we want to call this dot capture pointer, and we will capture it. Okay. In addition to released, I'm going to move this down. We want to grab a few other things. So pointer canceled, end pointer event, right? And then pointer capture lost, right? We want to, in all of those situations, we're going to treat it the same as if we were to just lift the mouse. Okay, so now let's launch and see if we've addressed that problem. Okay, back over here. Get that off there. So click. Ah, ha, ha, breakpoint. Breakpoint, yes. Okay, so I want to see, do you find, so you didn't find the scale transform, which means this doesn't work the same way that I was hoping it would. Because before we found the template member. Okay, so we need to figure out how we get access to thingies in the template, right? There has to be a way to get the template stuff. Okay, so let's go down to apply template, right? And actually, let's try that F1 trick again. Whoop. Oh, no dice, no dice. We're gonna leave you up. I'm going to leave you there for a moment. Close you, close you, close you. WinUI3, how about apply template? Yeah, template XAML controls. That's kind of what we're after. Default style key. Oh, this is kind of what we wanted, right? Because we wanted to do, I don't know if we did that up here. Yeah, so we do want to set the default style key to be Ripple. I mean, it clearly worked without it. This goes in the constructor, not the static constructor. So this whole static constructor goes away now. I think we've handled all of those thingies. Okay, so that goes away. I do wonder if we can get rid of this pressed instances. Kind of curious why we need it. We might be able to get rid of it. We might even be able to get rid of it on the WPF side too. Okay, so let's see. So there's that. That's great. We do some of this stuff. That's great. On label changed. That's fine. Okay. Update the custom control file. But how does one get access to those thingies? There has to be a way to get access to your templated elements. I mean, I assume so. That would be a heck of a miss if it wasn't. So let's see here. So what is find name? Let's look at what find name claims to do. So let's just F1 that guy. Retrieves an object that has a specified identifier name. That's not quite what I want. How about we look up control template? Okay, you're not hitting anything, so let's just go to C. Not showing up there. Okay, so let's go back over to our XAML. And if I go control template and I F1 on that guy. Okay, so wow, the following example creates a control template, yada, yada, yada. Great, great. XAML control templates, which defines great the target type and the implicit XAML content. Okay. A control element must be a true control subclass. So then, that's fine. We can do that. Control templates provide the visuals and parts that make up a control. At runtime, the template has already been applied, so all the parts are now truly parts of the control, and to examine the XAML name scopes within the control content or using the visual tree helper class. There are ways to access template-defined contents either before or after the template is applied. See on a get template child. That's the guy. That's the guy. Yeah, that's okay. So that's what I want. Not find name. I want something like get templated child. Right? So that should be a child from my template, right? That trees the name element instantiated in the control template's visual tree. That's what I want. Okay, rinse, repeat, try this again. Gimme, 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 gimme. See, there's nothing new under the sun. This is all just the same with slightly different names. Boom. So we come in here, find me my scale transform. Look at that. Found my scale transform. F5, let the guy go. Right? Boom, 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 boom. And that also fixes the speed problem, right? If I hold it down, it goes nice and slow. If I go fast, boom, 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 boom. Look at that feedback. Beautiful, beautiful feedback. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so that gives us ripple feedback. Okay, so we addressed the speed as well. What am I missing now? I mean, in terms of a button, there's not a lot left. It's got a click. Oh, we do have the shadow and the elevation. We should figure out how to do a shadow in WinUI. Let's figure that out because that's kind of a big deal for the material design stuff. They don't really have true shadows, but they do have elevation, which we implement in WPF as a shadow with slightly different radiuses. And I know we've got composition shadows. Z depth and shadow. Well, that is exactly. The physical world, blah, blah, blah. Theme shadow. XYZ coordinates. Yeah, see, this sounds better. Elevated to 32 pixels in each additional casting. Okay, so... Oh, so I literally just do this. Huh. So, okay, so theme shadows and pop-ups is off. In the case that you're where the user needs attention to quickly grab it, blah, blah, blah. Create hierarchy, blah, blah, blah. Shadow and other elements. That's kind of what we're going for. Oh, so there's literally just a straight shadow property on this thing. Shared shadow. So we do a theme shadow, and then we just apply the sucker? That seems too easy. I am wondering if... Oh, so this is a little interesting. So we create a shadow, add the background grid as a shadow receiver. Ah, so you have to define what the shadow is drawn onto. Interesting. And then you have to translate these things in the appropriate direction. Oh, that is interesting. The system sets a limit of 5 caster receiver pairs. Oh, that's... Oh, okay. So that's fine. If so, it's not that I can only have 5 elements, but I can only have 5 shadows. Or I guess that the pair makes sense, right? I can only have 5 shadows casting onto up to 5 things at any given time. That's fine. We can have a single shadow. I don't see an issue with that. We cast the same type of shadow onto the same receiver elements, then add the shadows as oh, drop shadow class. It's not automatically responsive to its environment and does not use light sources. Oh. That could be actually potentially better for us. Because this would line up a lot more. Yeah, this would line up a lot more with how our existing shadow stuff works. Boy, that's a tough call. The problem is with this other one here, I think I want to understand the limitations of it, specifically these things here. Because if the library starts taking up, yeah, if the library starts taking up that, that is interesting. That is true. Yeah, that is an interesting problem that I don't fully know how to solve. I think going with the drop shadow is probably better. When it has animations and everything. See, we could do some really clever stuff with this. WPF, you don't get to do this kind of fanciness. Let's see. So shadows are not clipped. Oh, that is excellent. The only place where that's going to be somewhat problematic in our library is the color zone. Because our color zone, we explicitly have an attached property that allows us um, to clip it off, because occasionally you have areas where you put a color zone on and you really want to only give the effect of a shadow off one edge, right? So you might clip it down to say only to show off the bottom or the top edge, for example, just so you can give yourself that elevation. I think I want to look at this. The problem is this is also, I'm also looking at my time, realizing that I am close to my streaming limit, and I cannot go late tonight. I've got other stuff that needs to happen. So I think I'm probably going to quit here for tonight. But this is exciting. I like this. There was a little bit of effort in bringing stuff over, but overall, it was not terribly difficult to restyle a button. It really was not that hard to go between WPF and WinUI. And I was fairly happy with the result that we got here. Oh, the other thing I'm noticing, the click event isn't actually making it to the button anymore because we're not incrementing our counter. Oopsie. So that's another bug. That is another bug. So I think I'm really tempted. So if you are interested in material design in XAML coming to WinUI, drop me a line either on Twitter, leave a comment on the video, whatever. Is this something that we should invest time in? Right? Because porting a library to another framework is a big lift, right? It is a big lift just bringing in one new control, not to mention going through and bringing in a whole suite of controls, right? Because if we go back here, I want to look at one more thing. How big is this toolbox? How big? So 0. That's easy then. That is clearly not right. We can see that there's at least a button. How much is in here, right? So we've got all app bar, auto suggest box. Some of these don't matter. Calendar, date picker, calendar panel. Wait, vey. Carousel panel, I don't think we would need to do anything with. I'm pretty sure that's just a layout control. Checkbox. There's a color picker slider. Spectrum, combo box. Yeah, so there's quite a bit in here, and I guess I'd be curious too. So if WinUI is something that interests you, I guess my only ask would be what is a minimum viable product, right? If if I said material design was available for WinUI, would every single control have to have a template, or is there some subset of controls that you're using that are the most important to you? Yeah, because some of these are easy, right? Some of these, and like the scroll bar and scroll viewer, we didn't template those in WPF land for a very long time. It was only in the last couple releases that those actually got done. Teaching tip. Is that the new name for tooltip, I guess? Maybe? I guess we'll see. No, there's tooltip. I'm curious what teaching tip is. What is a teaching tip? Do you show a picture? Pictures would be cool. XAML control. Okay, that's right. So there is a app. Forgot about this. I remember seeing this, and I think I even installed it, if I'm not mistaken, or I put it on my list. XAML controls library. It's in the store. Let's go get it real quick. Gimme. Gimme, 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 gimme. Oh, you're going to install stuff. You got updates to install. I just want this app. Install. You own this app. See, I knew I'd done something. Maybe I downloaded it on a different machine. So I think I looked at this once before, and it was fairly nice to be able to go through and do it, because I believe this comes from the same repo that the new Microsoft MVVM one comes from. So I was interested in teaching tip. Show teaching tip. Ah, it's kind of a fun little toast thing. Oh, that's kind of cool. And so it just handles everything for you. Huh. That's a really nice little addition. See, and this is part of why why I'm interested in WinUI is there's a lot of these kind of nice little interactions that are useful. Like some of these things, like flip view, right? Like this is nice, but does it really need much of a material design bent on it? Right? I think there's an equivalent, maybe around those little buttons or something. But like grid view, there's no theming there, right? It's a layout control. I don't I don't care. Pull to refresh. I don't know how to trigger this. Custom icon. See, I think I need a touch screen to trigger some of these. This machine is not a touchscreen. So yeah, so there's layout stuff. Radio buttons are in layout. Why are like radio buttons in layout? That is not what I would expect. That is interesting. Yeah, why are radio buttons not next to like checkboxes and similar, or toggle switches? Um, yeah, so we may give this a shot. That's the other thing is it doesn't play well with um, material design, but this is one of the cool things that you get in WinUI that you cannot do in WPF, just with the way the render stack works, is you can get this nice little acrylic brush, and you can kind of fake this with some sort of like blur and transparency stuff, but you can't get the same exact effect. It's just not possible, right? So you can see kind of what's back there. So it's a very nice effect to be able to give a hint of what's back there to show things. And there's some fun write-ups that Microsoft has put out on this about how they went about doing it, which like this is just nice, right? And it doesn't work with material design, right? The material design stuff does not leverage this kind of blur transparency. So cool. I'm gonna keep that guy around. We'll play with him later. I think I'm probably gonna wrap up there. Like I said, I think overall I would call this a positive result, right? We got the button, we got the ripple. Hold on. Let's just see if we can fix that hit test. Is hit test visible? False. Right? Because I think that's what it was, something like that was similar in here, right? Because we want it to, the canvas is hit test visible, not the renderer. So ripple needs to be hit testable, but the ripple theme itself content sits on top. Are you the problem? I don't know who's stealing the, whoops. Let's launch this again. I don't know who's stealing that click. I'm actually not entirely sure how to debug that either. Oh, I left teaching tips sitting in there. I think this is a better way to see all of the stuff that's in there, all controls, and you can go through all of that. It's actually kind of a nice layout. I wonder if maybe I should consider changing up the way the material design demo app is and get something a little prettier. So this is definitely triggering it. I wonder if it's the very fact that I'm handling the down, right? Pointer press. I wonder if this guy here needs to explicitly go with, oh, probably, I bet you it's this, right? He captures it, and therefore it doesn't keep going down. I bet you that's the problem. That's gonna be fun because we want to observe it, but we don't want to necessarily handle it. Yeah, see, there, catch 22. We want to observe the event, but we don't want to necessarily handle it. Right, so that is a little funky. So one way or another, something needs to change there. We need that. Let's see. Let's leave myself a comment because future Kevin's not going to remember this. We need to capture to get the pointer. What was it? What was it called? Pointer released. Event. But this also appears to prevent the click from propagating up. So there's that. I wonder, is there a way to say like handled? Oh, I wonder if we can do this. Okay, I know I said I was done, but I hate quitting when there's bugs. I just want to end on a nice positive note. Just want to know. I just have to know how it works. Okay, so I go click, click. So that works, but the handled flag does not seem to be right. So it's already false, and I set it to false. So that doesn't do a darn thing. as agile. Boy, I wish there was a way to just Boy, I wish there was a way to say I want to get this and get notified of it. But yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna quit and I'm not gonna fight with it. But that is the next thing on the docket if I decide to go down this path, is start to figure this out, because again, I think button is kind of the quintessential starting point and getting that ripple working. But overall, I think WinUI is not terribly difficult. So if you have experience with WPF, or even better, if you have experience with UWP XAML, you should feel right at home. And for the most part, it is pretty easy to get started. So I think with that, I'm going to tell everybody happy coding. Thanks for hanging out. See everyone next week.